Now turning the page to Saturday action. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get there. You know, right? I mean, we can't waste any more time. We go between the hedges. Sanford Stadium, Athens, Georgia. Number 1 versus number 1. Number 1 in the AP poll, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 1 in the college football playoff rankings, the Tennessee Volunteers. It is the first meeting of the top 2 teams in the AP top 25 poll since 2019, when it was LSU and Alabama, which was the first regular season meeting of 1 versus 2 since 2011, which was LSU and Alabama. Tennessee and Georgia, maybe a little bit of a budding rivalry here as they enter college football lore. The Georgia Bulldogs are favored by 8, over under of 66. Who's got a lock on the biggest game of the season?
Am I the only one?
Oh, no, I'm in.
All right, cool. I'm taking Tennessee +8. As I break this one down, first of all, the more I've thought about it, the more I've looked at it, the one thing that keeps hitting me upside the back of the head is that great offenses beat great defenses. And that's just the way it's working in the sport these days. And Tennessee has the better offense, and like defense is more of a separator for winning a national title. Like, it's better to have a great defense and a good offense than a great defense and a terrible or great offense and a terrible defense. Anyways, I'm getting way in the weeds here. My only point is that the way I break this game down, if Georgia wins, its path to doing it will be to control the ball with its run game, limit what Tennessee does in the run game, and just try to keep that offense off the field as much as possible, which is typically going to lead to, closer wins. If Tennessee wins this game, I feel like they will blow Georgia out in the process of doing it. So I just think that the more likely scenario is, no matter who wins, I think Tennessee's covering more often than not. So I'm taking the Vols +8.
I have been slanderous of the Georgia Bulldogs in recent weeks. I've called them dress code, simply suggesting that they're doing what they need to do to look the part, appropriate for being one of the top teams in the entire country, but not stunning. Not, hey, let me get a flick. Not something that I want to, get a picture and show to people later. They lead the nation in rushing touchdowns, and yet my slanderous tale is on here talking about how the rushing game's kind of, their passing game has some of the best tight ends in the entire country. And yet I'm like, I don't know. It's not doing it for me. But like you, Tom, as I break this game down, I do not see a Tennessee is entirely locked up, stuffed into a locker, and unable to score. I think that Tennessee will never go away. And even if Georgia creates a deficit, I think that Tennessee will always have the ability to storm back. The back door will never, ever, ever be fully locked. And so those Georgia fans, hello. Hey, dogs. I'm sorry. That mean old train coming down the track, red and black, I don't see it. Give me the Vols plus all the points.
I so agree with what you guys say about great offenses beating defenses, good defenses. What do you do when you have great offense versus a bad defense? I'm fighting you guys.
Ooh. Fight.
So we've seen Georgia go against a great offense that's known as the Oregon Ducks, top 10 team right now in the country, whose offense is all of a sudden taken off. I think playing at home is a massive advantage in this one. I think it throws off a lot of communication that you've got going on at the line of scrimmage. Some of the things we talked about on Wednesday's pod. I think it's one where Georgia kind of reminds people, hey, we're the defending champ. We're the kings of the block. We've got a defense, even without Nolan Smith, that is capable of getting after you. This will be the best defense that Tennessee has faced by far. I think it might be one of the better offenses they've faced by far as well. It's going to be too much firepower for me. And I also, so if I think if Georgia wins, I do think they'll be able to keep them in check. And even though their offense is prolific, I don't think they're going to be just running up and down the field, throwing those big plays. I think they want long, sustained drives. Give me the under as well.
2-for-1 special from Danny Cannell. We got a lock fight. We got an under in a Tennessee game. This is how does Danny respond? By being bold. But no locks
Jordan
in the game.
is so mad.
No, I think I don't know, man. He might actually be happy about that.
Yeah, Jordan said earlier this week he kind of wants Tennessee to lose.
Yeah. But no lock in the game. But do you have how do you handicap in this one? How do you see it?
Yeah, I think that Georgia will try to play slow on offense and will probably try to make Tennessee win in the red zone. I've thought of, like, I don't really trust Tennessee's defense, but I do think Tennessee's offense is pretty legit. They're 100% touchdowns in goal-to-go situations so far, right? Like, if you're Georgia, you're like, okay, which of this is sustainable? Which of this is unsustainable? I don't think Georgia has much of a shot of stopping Tennessee in the open field. I think Georgia has some shot of forcing Tennessee into stops or field goals in the low red area, just because there's less space to play with. I'm probably going to wait as long as I possibly can and take some Georgia, right? Like maybe other folks jump on this Tennessee number and I can get Georgia at 7.5. That if I can cheaply get it to 7, or maybe I'll just lay maybe 7.5 plus 100 or something like that. But I'm just going to wait on this.
Okay, here we go. It all goes down 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch it on CBS. You can stream it on Paramount Plus. It's the biggest game of the year. Fired up. Glad we got some action for it on the board. 7 p.m. Eastern time. It is Alabama and LSU. It is a top 10 matchup.
Straight it is.
Alabama currently favored by about 13.5, over under of 56.5. Anybody got a lock for the Crimson Tide and the Tigers in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I do.
Let's go.
I'm going to go. Are there any 30s out there for the first half? I guess not. Give me under 29. I don't want to take a bad number here. Give me under 28.5 first half in this one.
These games, Alabama's defense, when the game is at LSU, has done well.
Yeah. If you look at the teams that LSU has really put a lot of points on recently, I'm not sure how to award credit for this. It could be that LSU's offense is improving that much. It could be that these teams are somewhat cratering. Florida's defense looks really poor. Ole Miss's defense looks kind of worse every single week, right? And I go back. It wasn't that long ago. Oh, there's 29s out there. Fine, 29 for me. That's kind of a marginal difference there. It wasn't that long ago that LSU was putting up less than 4.5 yards of play at Auburn, right? And I do think that the pass rushers for Alabama will have success in this ballgame.
Anybody else got to play?
I don't have a lock. I included it in the 6-pack because I had to, but I've got the over in the 6-pack.
Like full game over?
Mm-hmm.
I'm torn on this game.
I would say the thing that I'm watching is just this Alabama team in a true road environment.
Where they've struggled.
Yeah, performance has been not up to par. That's just sort of the home road splits all the way since the beginning of last year. We'll see. Don't feel strong enough to lock it up, but LSU plus the points, it'd be fun. All dog Saturday.
That's what I was leaning to, LSU and the points. But that Tennessee game is hard to erase from your memory. I know it was because we talk about Baton Rouge being a tough place to play, and it is different at night. That game was at home too, and they got worked. So I'm going to stay away.
I took some LSU 14 when this opened on Sunday, just because I figured the number would not go over 14. But like power rating's fine. I can justify it. Matchup wise, I don't like it.
Also, what would the impact of weather be in this game? I think it's not exactly going to be pleasant on Saturday night.
Bama's a better running team than LSU is. Weather typically, if it's not a bunch of wind, rain actually can. LSU is natural grass, so there's some advantage to the under if there's a lot of rain, whereas like artificial turf, basically none. Probably minimal unless we're expecting a lot of rain, or excuse me, a lot of wind.
Also at 7 p.m. Eastern time, number 24 Texas at number 13 Kansas State. Texas was off last week. Kansas State absolutely worked Oklahoma State. Texas is a 2.5-point favorite, over under of 54.5. Anybody got a lock?
Over.
Yeah.
We're just completely in agreement on everything this week. Yeah, I just think the total's too low. Like if it's under 56, I'm all over it. I feel like this is a game that's going to get to the 30s. I think coming off a bye, Texas's offense is going to probably have a pretty strong performance. And I think the Kansas State's offense the last few weeks has been improving. So give me the over.
The fact that Kansas State can move the ball through the air has been quite a change to our expectations of what we do with Kansas State, especially from the wagering perspective. And I think that, as we suggested on Wednesday's show, I think that coming out the gate, Sark's going to have a pretty good sort of opening for Quinn Ewers, that Texas is able to get us some points early. The challenge for winning this game for Texas, in my eyes, is going to be avoiding another second half letdown, especially in a road environment. But as long as Texas can get us those points early, I think that we should have no problem getting this thing maybe even to the low 60s. So I think there's a lot of value here on over 54.5.
I have a play here. I'm going to go ahead and take Kansas State over 26.5 points. I think with the advent of Will Howard playing, and I do think he's a better player than Martinez. I think they will throw the ball down the field better on Texas than you otherwise would expect, and so I think they have a pretty good shot of getting into the 30s.
I have a play as well. I was thinking this is my new strategy because I had this listed as a possibly money line sprinkle play. So as opposed to doing that, just give me Kansas State and the points at home dog. They might have found something that really opens up this offense, and I'm very curious to see
the forward pass.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, exactly. They discovered it. Quinn Ewers responded. His first road game wasn't a huge success. That was not a smashing success. 3 interceptions, struggled somewhat. Bye week to think about it. That's a lot. I think you'll see a healthy dose of Bijan Robinson. I think they will have some success with him. But in a game where he was just loose with the football, and that's a great thing. He's a little bit of a gunslinger, but I think Kansas State can make him pay for it. So I'll go ahead and take the Wildcats playing at home.